it's not really like a joke. There's a saying that I will often say when I'm like confused and doing too many things, and I'm like, I don't even know if it's Tuesday or March. Today, it's both. It's Tuesday, and now it's March. But like if I'm running around and I look like my hair's on fire, I'm like doing 8 things, and somebody asks me a question, I'm like, I don't know if it's Tuesday or March. I got no answers for you. But today's both. It's Tuesday and March. So, answers for 623 because this is due today. Remember, we're not copying down answers. If we have wrong answers, you should be asking questions about this to fight for your knowledge. Mia?
I got question B wrong on 81.
81B. Let me pull out my homework. My bad. Too many things to do this morning. This was a longer homework, but guys, it was for 2 days of practice work. 81B, do you want to tell me what you did first, or do you just want me to dive into it?
Can you dive into it?
Sure. So 81B has 3x plus 5 equals 50, and I don't think the hole punch really impacted our paper. Oh, this is not plugged in. That's one USB I didn't get plugged in this morning. So remember, the first thing that we always want to do is kind of just look at it, right? Don't immediately start doing stuff without kind of making a plan. And one of the things we talked about yesterday as we looked at your mini mastery, remember your follow-up is due tomorrow, is we should pick sides at some point. And right now, I have variable, constant, equal to a constant. So the left side is my variable side. So how do I get rid of this plus 5? Anybody? Subtract 5 from both sides. We then get 3x is equal to 45. And how do I go from 3 times x to just an x? Divide by 3, which will get us 15. And if that's not the answer they have, the answer key might have a mistake. Sure. Let's give a second for people to check their answers and figure out what they might have wrong, but then we'll do 84B next. If you did not take the B in 84B, that's okay. But we're working on trying to factor as completely as we can. I'm not going to do both parts of 84. I'll do B because it's more difficult. So in 84, they say factor each expression, and I inserted in here, I'm pretty sure like this is something I typed in, divide out the common factor. That is, so we're going to write an equivalent expression, but using what is then going to need distribution, right? Like we went over, I don't think it was yesterday, so it must have been last week on one of the homeworks. There's a B here and a B here. So B is going to be part of the common factor. When you divide B squared by a B, you just get a B left. We'll cover that in a second. Then 24 and 96, I can test this by grabbing a calculator and checking. So, is 96 divisible by 24? If it is, ooh, look at that. I can use 24 as that common factor I divide by. So, if I divide by 24b, and guys, you can do this with me if you don't have this done yet or you weren't quite confident on it. Remember, this does not count as copying answers because we're doing it together. What then would I have left after dividing 24b squared by 24b? Just, Lucas?
You could have B.
A b. You could put one b if you wanted. You could put b to the first power if you wanted, but all we really care is that we have a b. 96b divided by 24b. Well, b divided by b essentially makes a giant 1, and the b's disappear. Good, because I don't love b's. I mean, they're very important, but they scare me. They sting. 96 divided by 24 is 4. And then you could double check this by saying, would the distribution get me back to what we originally had? This would get you 24b squared. This would get you 96b. So we know we are correct. If you need help on 84a, go use homework help. Lucas.
On
81a.
like it says
Okay.
the last test will be twice as much as the regular test.
Hold up. I am totally lost on you because Amanda came over here real quick. So hang on to that for a second. I don't really want to do both parts of problems like this, but this is different than part B, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Guys, if you're struggling with these, you might want to make a note to yourself that we have to pick sides. So I have variable equal to variable and constant. Since this is the only variable, and this breaks one of the other like tricks that I've taught you guys about, I'm going to get rid of the 6x because it's on what I'm going to call the constant side. So how do I get rid of the entire 6x? We subtract the whole thing. So minus 6x minus 6x. Now this gets me into a situation I don't love because my variable is now negative 2x. But that's okay. Like that doesn't break the problem. I just don't love negatives. Now I have picked sides. I have a variable side and a constant side. Right? I don't want to put them all onto the same side. So guys, if you start by subtracting 4x, you're going to end up with everything on the same side, and that messes things up. So now that I have negative 2 times x, right, I can put the dot here if we want, equal to negative 14. How do I get rid of that negative 2? Divide by negative 2 because it creates a giant 1. And x will end up being positive 7. Amon, does that help? All right, Lucas, back to you. Sorry.
I just don't understand exactly how they worded it on the 6-83. I'm not exactly sure they worded it in the answer key.
I am going to do one of those, not really I told you so, but one of those you could do this without me. So, check it. I just Googled CPM homework help. I'm going to click on CC2 because that's our textbook. I'm going to go to 6.2.3. And in question 83, and I know this because I helped somebody else with it, especially in part B, they walk us through, since the last test is worth twice as much, when we go to set up our problem, it changes how we do the average to doubling that unknown test score and also having 5 test scores. Compared to if we look at part A in homework help, remember you're trying to find the average. So we're going to set up an average equation, meaning we add up all the test scores and divide by 4. Now, at this point, you might get a little stuck with how to solve, and this jumps right to the answer. So that's when you come to me and you say, hey, I looked at the homework help. I still don't know how they got from this step to the answer, right? So let's look at how they got from that step to the answer. If you don't yet have this equation written down, write it down. They tell us the score of her previous tests, 90, 82, 81, and I'm going to call it like L for the last test. I know what I'm writing down is what's on the screen. I'm copying homework help because I needed help, so I went to homework help like you should do. So my 4 test scores, to average, we add them up, divide by how many we have. They tell us we want that to be equal to 86. So, I can take any fraction. Remember, this is a fraction. It's a big fraction, but it's a fraction. It's easier if I set it equal to another fraction. Then we are allowed to cross multiply. Here's what's actually happening. If I multiply this whole thing by 4, what happens when you have 4 divided by 4? It's a giant 1. So that's really what I'm doing. I'm multiplying by 4 over here to get rid of this 4 on bottom. But I also then have to multiply by 4 over here, because I got to do it on both sides. You can also think of this like cross multiplication. 4 times 86 is 344. So my right side, when I do 86 times 4, tells me that all of the tests, when we put them together, 90 plus 82 plus 81 plus the last test, need to equal 344. And then, this is not done. Then you gotta solve for L still. But I'm not doing that for you. So part B works the same, except for, now that they're counting this test score twice, we're dividing by 5, because we're effectively saying, oh, well, that's 2 test scores. We're going to double it. So then we divide by 5. So you could start part B by multiplying by 5 on both sides. Guys, it's really easy for me to glance around and see that people have some pretty blank papers. You had this all weekend. You had this paper, I think, from last Wednesday. At least you had it by last Thursday. I can tell who has put in work and who has not. If you are not putting in the work, you need some advice from Yoda. Guys, this quote is often misunderstood. This doesn't mean don't try. What this means is when people say, oh, I tried, I'm trying, I tried and I... No. Stop saying I tried and do it. Use the homework help. Ask for help. Work with a friend. Carve out time on your weekend to do your homework. Otherwise, you're gonna get behind. Do or do not. There is no try. I would rather you come tell me, yeah, I just didn't do it. Sorry, Hudson, I'll do it tonight. Than to make up some excuse about, oh, well, I tried and then my dog barked so I couldn't do homework. My dog literally eats papers off the table. So, like, I'll buy that. I'll believe that, but I'll give you a fresh copy. Right? There's no excuse. Do or do not. There is no try. Other answers that we need to check, because this was a big homework. Make sure that you checked 81, 82, 83, 84. Like, make sure we've checked those, and then let's go ahead and scroll down. Some of you need to be honest with yourself. You believe the lies that you tell yourself, and that's part of growing up. We got to get honest. Somebody Mr. Hudson over here. Oh my gosh. He was probably pretty smart then.
You must have had all that knowledge in there.
What? Yeah. On which problem?
Would you just try it or even just distribute everything? Or make sure you get stuff on one side?
Yeah, you could just say acres. So, does how we got to that answer make sense?
How we got to that answer makes sense.
Okay.
I was wondering if it was acres.
Yeah, acres, guys, an acre on 86. An acre is a measurement of land. It's a certain square feet. And, like, it can be cut into different shapes, like, you know, triangles, squares, rectangles, whatever. But an acre is a certain amount of land. So that is a unit of measurement for land. Like, my house, I think, is like 0.2 acres. It's not very much because I live in the city. So, yeah, 51 acres is pretty big. Aiden? Cattle rancher gave a third of his land to his son, and he kept 2/3 for himself. So, if the 34 acres is 2/3, we could use that to break up and figure out what a third was. So, if 34 acres is equal to 2/3 of his original land, the other way we can deal with this problem is what we practiced in the mini mastery. How do I get rid of a fraction and turn it into a 1? What do we multiply by to turn this fraction into a 1? Just like on the mini mastery. All right, I'll offer a piece of candy. Who knows how to turn 2/3? John? I already asked the question twice. Kylie? Lucas? Nah, that's not what I'm asking. That's not what I asked either. I'm worried that people aren't listening to me. Mia? That could be part of it, but there's one step that'll wipe out the whole thing immediately. Multiply by its reciprocal, like we did in the mini mastery. So if I multiply by 3/2, that is dividing by 2 and multiplying by 3 at the same time. 51 acres. Or we could have taken 34 and said, well, if that is 2/3, right, and we like draw out the land. Well, if 34 is 2 of the thirds, I would need to split that in half to figure out what each third is. So what is half of 34? It's 17. So the farmer kept 17 and 17. That's his 34. He gave away a third to his son. So that's going to be another 17. And together, we get 51. There are multiple ways to solve this. What we need to care about is that the 2/3 was 34. Other questions? Use homework help. I wonder if it would make a difference if I got it tattooed on me. I mean, so I have this tattoo, so I feel unbalanced. What if this arm just said use homework help? What if what? I don't care. I'll make my own thing called homework help. I mean, a lot of tattoos are memories. Like, I got this when my mom and my niece both had cancer. Luckily, neither of them have cancer anymore, but, it was a chapter of my life. So homework help is a big chapter of my life right now. All right, all the answers are recorded in the video. Let's move on to class today. So if it's done, turn it in. Quit making excuses. Quit letting yourself off the hook. Make yourself do your homework. All right, this is on the paper that you probably picked up yesterday, 624. So pull out 624 if you don't have it out already. If you don't have highlighters, you're probably going to want them. My suggestion on the start slide was to have 3 highlighters. Yeah, 3 different colors would be good. Oh, you have the one that the highlighter and the cap do not match? Yeah, that's kind of funny. Who took extras that already has it in their binder? Check your binder. I had extras on the chair. I should still have extras. Here, you can have my copy if we don't find the other ones. Yeah. I doubt we'll end up eating graph pages today. I don't know if we'll even get past this problem. Apparently, I'm going to have to go print more. Guys, you got to stay organized and know what you have or don't have. Somebody, I'm guessing in this room, has taken multiple copies of the homework. You don't need multiple copies. You don't want to do it multiple times. So, please don't. Please check if you have it and don't take it twice. Anybody else need it? Because I don't need to print it. But otherwise, I gave Cade mine and we're okay. We can move on. All right. So I want you to go ahead and read the problem on your paper and start highlighting it. If you want to match my colors, you can wait. But my colors are only yellow, blue, green. So you might not be able to match my colors. What is important in that problem? So go ahead and read it on your paper. The first thing they tell us, that at least, oh my gosh, quit dragging the wrong stuff around. At least I think is really important. Those percentages are really interesting, but I don't think they're going to be that important in this problem. Down here where the paragraph starts with the amount of water, that's where I think the really important facts start. The amount of water in Lake Superior, it thinks it's so important. Lake Superior is 1,720 cubic miles. Cubic miles? That's really big. Cubic miles more than the amount of water in Lake Michigan. So guys, cubic, think of a cube, but a mile long, a mile deep, a mile wide. And a 1,700 cubic miles. That's insane. That's why they're called the Great Lakes. They're pretty great. And this one is superior. Lake Huron has 330 cubic miles of water less than Lake Michigan. And the total, 4,930. The total amount of water in those three lakes, there are more than three. We are only talking about three. How many Great Lakes are there? 5. They're shown on your paper. Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. So actually, I'm pretty sure Erie's the smallest. At least on this picture, Erie or Ontario, right? One of those looks to be the smaller ones. So if you've ever seen Lake Erie, you can't see the other side. It's a huge lake, but it's small comparatively. The question that we need to answer, to start answering this question, is how do we write this out? And I got a question for you here. Think, what variable should we use? Talk with your team real quick. I want to give you a minute to see if you can start to write these in expressions. How can we write expressions for what they tell us? Like my first one that I write is probably going to involve the first thing they told me. Is means equals. Is means equals. Only use a single variable. Don't use Lake Superior LS, just use S. It's, you know what I mean? Don't use two letters when one letter can do it. If you want to use the 5D process, you can set up a table. You are always welcome to pass. All right, before you get too far, let's make sure that we're all on the right path because it's easy to trip up here. Carmen, do you want to help us write out a statement or an expression for Lake Superior? No? John?
I can. S equals M plus 1720.
1720 more than Lake Michigan, right? So that doesn't tell us Lake Superior is 1720. It means it's Lake Michigan plus 1720. Any questions on how John got that? Antonella, you want to help me with the next one? H equals less. So yeah, Antonella's saying M minus, right? Because it's less than M minus what? 330. Marina, where can we... Do we have Marina? Kylie, where can we go from here? Yeah, M equals M, because we got to talk about Michigan. Why aren't we just talking about Superior and Huron?
Because M is like a big variable, both of them.
Yeah, and the 3 lakes, right? We're not just looking at the 2, we're looking at the 3. And then, guys, this is not like, it's not easy to draw. I don't know at what point my brain figured out how to draw this, but I like to show on my paper, like, okay, they tell us all together what?
4,930.
But now I'm going to write this out again, right? I just like to show, like, I do extra work because it makes things safer. Makes, like, solving it safer. So they tell me all 3 lakes together. I could write S plus H plus M, and I'm going to, but you could kind of skip over this step if you really wanted to. Don't forget about Lake Michigan, though. Some of you guys forgot about me on the mastery when we were talking about ages. You did my brother, my sister, my wife, but you forgot about me. I felt left out. I went home and I cried. I grabbed my dog, I hugged him. So, instead of using S, we're going to use M plus 1720. Any questions on me replacing our S with M plus 1720? We had written out, that's what S is. We replaced it. What should I replace H with? Just shout it out. M minus 330. What should I replace M with? Just M. We just keep the M. Get your friends together. Combine like terms, right? Get your friends together. I always start with variables. So M, remember that minus doesn't count on the M, and M. How many M's in total? 3M. Guys, if you're out of space on your paper, now you might need graph paper. Now the constants, careful here. What is this number? Anybody? Yeah, what is this number? Negative or minus. Layla's waving her finger back at me. It's a negative. That sign goes with it. It's a trapdoor. So what is 1720 minus 330, Layla? Sorry, 1,000 what? 1,390. Oh, wait, there's no plus here now because I already took that M. See how the highlighting kind of tells my brain, wait, no, that's already, we did it. So this should be equals 4930. Guys, this is where we pick sides. I have variable, constant, constant. Leave the variable where it is. No need to move that. If you want to start saying, told ya. There's some math flexing going on. What do I do on both sides now? You should have it written down on your paper. Otherwise, that I told you so is way too preemptive. So what does 3m equal to?
3,540.
Any verification from just another person with a calculator? Make sure we didn't type. Yeah, we're good. And then, because this is 3 times, we undo it or kind of stop it from happening by dividing. Guys, if this is still kind of a struggle, get 2 colors. See how I always am writing what I do on both sides in red? What does m equal?
1,180.
What label? Yeah, cubic miles. So it's miles cubed. It's volume. This is what we talked about yesterday of why I wouldn't put labels on before there. This is complicated enough without any extra labels. Wait till the end, but then we need labels. Plug it in and solve for superior and Huron. So we're going to take this 1180 back up to the top. If m is 1180, we can come back up here. Don't worry that. Scoochie, scoochie. If m is 1180, if m is 1180, and well, m is m. So now s equals 1180 plus 1720. How much is in Lake Superior? Oh, straight up, right? 2,900? Yeah, but it's like a nice number. They made tens and hundreds. H, I replace m with 1180, but then I have to minus 330. Ooh, wait, 750 or 850? That's 50. 11 minus 3. I think it's 8. Questions on what we just did? Get a jump start on your homework. I'd rather you spend the next 4 minutes. That does not mean pack up and sit there and do nothing. That means work on a homework problem. Vincent. Where? That was part of my equation that I needed to solve. All that. That's why I didn't have it there. This is already complicated enough. I'm trying to keep it from being extra complicated. You're right. If I labeled that, it'd be miles cubed. but this is already about to be complicated. I don't want to make it any tougher. You guys, we had that was a really nice class. You guys were pretty awesome. So anytime I can give you a few minutes to work on your homework, I want to. But then I shouldn't see eyes looking around the room. People should be doing their homework. Then you have even less of an excuse for it to not be done. What up?
Right here it says if you want to make shape A smaller instead of bigger, it's already smaller than that.
No, but we made it bigger when we turned it into B. So we enlarged shape A to get to shape B.
Okay, so wouldn't we just have a smaller scale factor?
Give me an example of a scale factor that would make something smaller.
Or 0.5?
Yeah, that would work. Really, there's a cut point, there's a boundary point of scale factor where instead of getting smaller, it would get the same size, and then it turns into getting bigger.
Yeah, so that would be 1.
Yeah, that's the boundary point for scale factor.
Interviews later?
I think.
I don't know. Is Amanda here today? Or is she out?
I would assume, because she texted that our new student needs added to the TCI.
Oh, okay.
Hey, look, if you need help on 97.
Homework help.
Although, sometimes when I follow homework help, we've actually figured out an easier strategy through class. Guys, I'll be honest with you. CPM wanted us to do that last problem using the 5D process and just guess. Do we think we would have gotten to that answer by just guessing? I mean, eventually, right? After a bunch of wrong answers, I think doing the algebra makes more sense. So that's why I'm going to guide you guys that way. If you really like the 5D process, you can use it. I'm not going to tell you not to. It just seems kind of silly to me. Please clip that in your binder so we don't lose any more worksheets, because I got to print some extras right now. And then head on out to your next class.
Yeah.